And we're live. Hi to everybody watching. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. If you are watching live, make sure you leave a comment because StreamYard or wherever you're watching from doesn't let us know that you're here unless you say hello. So come and say hello. I'm joined today by the wonderful Barbara Hann, who is an artist based in the Florida Keys. We have been working together for the last few months doing some website design and coaching. And today we're going to reveal her website and have a little bit of a conversation about what it is Barbara does, what she's learned along the way, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's going to be so good. So again, make sure you say hello to Barbara. I'm going to tell you straight up front, you can visit her website at barbarahann.com. And you can also follow her on Instagram at Barbara Hann Art. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thank me so much. Thank you so much for joining me today, Barbara. Can you say hello to everyone? Just introduce yourself.
Hello,
And
everyone. This is Barbara from Key Largo, and I'm so pleased to be here. And thank you so much, Chloe, for all that you've done. And a little bit of Scotland with a little bit of Florida. So I'm anxious.
yeah, it's definitely different. Who would have thought there would be a time where we would connect, right? You're based in Florida, I'm based in Scotland. We're in the middle of a pandemic and somehow we found each other. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because, on my end, I get an email from you, but before that, you had done some searching on YouTube and gone on this whole journey. So maybe just talk a little bit about what that process was like, what made you even search for a YouTube video and what was going through your mind at that time.
Easy. Well, I had a website that I wasn't happy with. So I decided that I could do it myself. So I went onto YouTube and I found Chloe Forbesk. And I said, well, let me follow her for our Squarespace YouTube, which was wonderful. I did the 7.0 Squarespace. And within the hour, I was able to do, probably took me 3 hours to stop and start and stop and start. And I did create my own website. But when I looked at it, I realized that it wasn't, again, where I wanted to be. So I sent a text no, I sent an email to you. And one of the things that Chloe, when I looked at her website, she says that she's she will always respond. So I sent her an email and I waited and I waited and I waited and I thought, where is Chloe? So in a couple of days, I think you responded, and her response was so from the heart and was so humble. And I thought to myself, this girl is real, and things happen. So I decided that, I contacted you and said, I'm here, let's connect. And then you started the process. So that's how we found each other. So
Yeah, I'm so glad you did. And I'm so glad you had the patience for me. I remember I was not very well those few days. And it's the worst feeling when somebody messages and you're like, oh, I need to respond. I need to respond. But I'm so glad that you did. Um, so if we just back up like a couple of steps from that, you watched the video and you decided to reach out. Now, there's lots of videos on YouTube teaching Squarespace. What is it that made you come to my website and then email me specifically? And I know that sounds a little egotistical when
no,
I
it's
say it,
not.
but let me preface it just by saying it's really important to talk about the customer journey when we're in business. And I know that's something we worked on a lot. So it's just really to give people an idea of the steps that go into before you even connect to someone who you want to work with.
Well, when I searched on YouTube, this was an easy thing to discover. And that was there's only a few people that do Squarespace. And then those sincere people would not put themselves out for an hour or over an hour in training. Most people try to take their craft and they want to hide it and they want to bill you for it. And everything's the billable hours. So when I saw your YouTube channel and I saw that you did not only 7.0 Squarespace, but 7.1 Squarespace, you gave me options. And then I noticed that on YouTube, you had areas of concern. Let's say I had a question with Squarespace. I was able to go search within your site there, and I could find many of your videos that could help me. So I knew that I had support from you, and because you put yourself out there and you didn't miss any of the details. You anticipated what I was looking for prior to me getting there. And so that was a tremendous help. I didn't find the ego. I found kindness, caring, and someone who wants to encourage others to use the internet and create a website. So it was all good.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And you touched on an important point, which is something I try and share a lot, which is it's okay to put yourself out there and share your knowledge. It's not going to stop people from hiring you because you help them. And one of the things people are scared of is they don't want to put themselves out there because they're worried about their competition, which is irrelevant because it's about whoever you're serving. They're scared to put themselves out there because they're worried what people might think, but it's not really about what you think. It's about that person who you're serving. And the other thing is the more helpful you can be and the more you can share your knowledge, the more that will come back at you, because the biggest thing is trust and connection as well. And I think that's something that we really had at the beginning when we were going through the emails back and forth. We really connected on a much deeper level, and we decided to get on a call. And we did a little bit of coaching, and you decided, okay, I need somebody to hire to do this website versus doing it myself. So you went into this with one mindset of like, let me try and figure this out myself. And then you kind of switched gears and was like, I would rather pay somebody else to do this, someone I trust. What was that? What went through your head and what made you switch on that decision making? What was it you learned or uncovered where you were like, I don't want to do this myself. I'd rather get somebody else to do that for me?
Well, I'm going to back up a little bit here because the first website that I had, I wasn't hitting the marks that I wanted to hit. It was a website, it was a stagnant website, and it was pretty, but I wasn't able to get a relationship where I could keep moving that website. So I had an idea of what I was looking for, and I knew where I wanted to go. So then I decided I'm going to become the web design master. And that was a total disaster because there's too much in the industry going on that you can't tackle all the areas, especially when you want to put commerce on a website. That's a whole different level, right? You've got inventories, you've got sales, then you've got designs. One of the things I find important is that when someone comes to your website, you have to lead them through it, right? You want them to know where they're going to go, and they want to be able to make it easy. They want to click, they want to go. Anything that becomes complicated, they're out to the next website or to the next program. So I knew enough that I was going to get myself in trouble if I did it myself for some of those reasons. So then I met you, and the thing that I liked about you, Chloe, was that you were so well versed in everything that I asked you. There was nothing that I could stump you with. And then that was not my goal. My goal was to say, this is what I want, but I want to make sure this time we understand that and we work together. So we went through the coaching calls as kind of a warm up, right? And you were looking for what I was doing. And Chloe's interesting. She has a questionnaire. So she really wants to know who you are before she actually gets involved with you. And she does an assessment on her own, basically. I suspect that's what you did because you came back after the questionnaire was filled out and then you sort of knew where we were headed. So, and from that standpoint, you took the design and you made a beautiful website.
Well, I'm so happy you like it, and I'm excited to show it to everyone in just a second. We have some comments here. One is from Ivy and Light, who says, love hearing the journey. So connecting, so cool. Ivy and Light is run by Erin Holland, who has a wellness company in Brooklyn. And we also did some work together. So what's so amazing about this is that people are coming and connected with each other all over the world, which is important now because we're kind of forced to be apart. And it's really important that we find those connecting moments and know that distance isn't a reason not to get involved, not to do business, not to reach out to people. We have another one from Marcus, who loves your new website, Barbara. And thank you. Also loving your Instagram pictures. So everyone should go and follow Barbara on Instagram at Barbara Hann Art. You will see her artwork. It is so beautiful. And let's see what other comments we've got going on here. Robert says, so proud. So Robert was actually a mentor of mine back in 2012. And I want to bring this up because one of the things that Robert actually taught me, and actually Robert's based in Florida. So you guys have that in common.
Where? I like the sunset.
Yeah, Robert, we're about in Florida. Are you from? Maybe you guys can connect. But one of the things Robert taught me the most of all was like put your client first, give value, and make sure you're there to deliver that each step of the way. And so I wouldn't be the person I am without Robert today. So thank you for that. And the beauty of the internet, yes, is so precious. And Erin says your website and art are beautiful. Really shows off your creations so perfectly. So a couple of people mentioned there, and Robert is in Apollo Beach. So I have no idea where that is, but you both know.
He's quite north of me. So I'm like at the southern end and he's probably more towards the northern end.
Oh, wow. Well, I have been to neither place. So once this is all over, I must have to make a trip and see you both.
Absolutely.
So a couple of people mentioned your Instagram, which was another thing that we spoke about and we really worked on as part of this, because a lot of the time, at least when I'm talking to people, they're service providers. And that's a little bit easier. You said that, you found the YouTube video, you were searching for help. That's easier, right? Someone has a problem. How do I solve that? And you provide them with the information they need, at least to make a decision, if not solve that problem for them. You're an artist. That's a little bit different in a couple of ways. One, just having that mindset of like having to be a business owner when you're a creative can be really difficult. But the other thing is you're selling joy as opposed to solving a problem. And so that brings its own unique set of challenges. Can you just talk a little bit about that and what that was like? Because I know it was something we spoke about a lot in our time working together.
That was the biggest challenge, is to try to figure out that area of the website. And as an artist, a lot of ways that people sell their artists through galleries. And what's happening is that galleries are struggling as well. And they're also trying to find their place on the internet. So what was real difficult has turned around and become actually easier, because Chloe, you were able to take that difficult block that I had. It's like, how do I use a website? How is it? One of the things that I really wanted for a website was I wanted it to be interactive. Okay. I wanted to be able to add things, change things, take paintings down, put paintings up. I wanted to talk about experiences. I wanted to talk about, whatever I wanted to talk about. I needed to put that on the internet, because on a website originally it was very static and I didn't have that interaction. And I knew that if it didn't change and shift with the art that I was doing, then it really wasn't going to be the process for me. So you were the one that kind of led me down the path of how to put that all together.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, when I spoke to you the first time, I like fell in love with you. You know this. I thought you were so wonderful. Barbara, you have so much to offer the world. For me, when I looked at your website, I saw art, but when I spoke to you, I felt something so much deeper than that. And you had so much to give. And so it was kind of a case of like, how do we pull that out of you and show that on the website? I'm going to show the website to everyone just now. While I do that, can you talk about what you learned along the way and how you feel about sharing more of yourself now, both on your website and through social media?
Well, that was the hardest, because you pulled me out of the shell and made me actually put paintings out into the internet, and that was somewhat of a scary scenario. And the other thing is, I don't like my photographs. I don't want pictures of me. And you said no choice. I want pictures of you. I want pictures of you painting, and I want to see what you're doing. So after getting over those stumbling blocks, and we actually had timelines. Like, I didn't have time to back out of this. The timelines were happening. We wanted to get the website completed, and we didn't have a lot of time. So it was either you step into it and do it, or don't do this at all. And that was good for me, because I couldn't backpedal, because that's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because the thing is, we all are scared of that. We're all worried about what do we look like? I don't want to share this. With art, especially, you're a bit nervous to put that out there because you're like, this is my work and I'm trying to sell this. And so I will say you are a very, very good about like, okay, I have to do this. I have to put myself out there. I have to share a lot. And again, one of the things we did aside from the website was we spoke a little bit about your content marketing strategy. So Instagram was a big part of that. Instagram and your content marketing. So also your blog here, if we click on this one. And so we really changed up your social media and content marketing strategy to focus more on how do we tell stories? How do we bring you out of that shell? How do we share that? And how do we share your message, which goes beyond just the stroke of a brush, which is beautiful, but there's a whole story behind that. And so, what did you learn about this process, and how has your social media and content marketing strategy changed over the last sort of month or so?
That's another easy question. All right. So I was out painting and I was up at Jupiter. It's West Palm Beach. It's north of where I am, probably 2.5 hours north of me. And I was out painting and I was painting the inlet there at Jupiter. I don't know if anyone knows Jupiter Inlet, but it's beautiful. And I had two people come walking by and they loved the painting and I had a sense that they really would like to buy it. But as an artist, I hadn't finished it. I wasn't sure it was where I wanted to be. It wasn't conveying exactly. And maybe I was doing a little struggling, a little overworking it. And so I left that plein air opportunity and walked away, not realizing what I should have done. And then I came back to Chloe and I said, you know what, this is what happened. Well, immediately she says, you know, you should have sold them the painting on the spot. Then you should have taken a picture for Instagram. And then you should have showed them that these people were there looking at your painting and blah, blah, blah. And my point in saying that is I had to retrain my brain for social media. So a week or two ago, I was at Harry Harris Park and I was painting, and it was a whole different concept because now I was thinking about how can I share this experience? How can I share this sunrise? How can I share this beach? And this whole experience. And so that's what we did with the blog is, now those experiences, I'm in the right mindset. I know the elements that I have to capture and then put it on the blog.
Yeah, so it's like a whole kind of cycle. And what's interesting is Erin said, I organically ended up going to your Instagram while pursuing the website, which shows it's working, Barbara. It's working.
There you go. There you go.
And so, it's just about, and you touched on something. You said it's not finished when it came to having that conversation about selling with that couple. You were like, it's not finished. And I think a lot of artists and anybody in business don't want to share until they have got the final piece done, whether it's, you're selling a course, you're selling art, you're doing coaching, whatever it may be. You don't want to show it until it's pretty and ready. But actually a huge part of the success on the back end, like how many sales you make at the end of it, is about sharing that process and sharing that journey along the way. And that's one of the things you started doing, just like opening up, sharing more of that, sharing work art when it's not finished. How has that been for you? Because I feel like in just a very short amount of time, you went from being extremely camera shy and I can't do this to just going out there and doing it and sharing more.
You're asking me to do what?
Yes.
I can't do that. Okay, so let me just back up with that couple because you mentioned, and this is the switch of that mindset, that they were there at that moment and they experienced some sort of special occasion. And I was capturing that occasion in the painting. And that's what I needed to do, was share what they were experiencing. And then I felt bad because I didn't allow them to have that option because I was in my own block. So,
Yeah.
now I understand it. And it's, the art itself is about capturing a particular moment that you're seeing and you're running it through your fingers. What I'm always amazed at is when I started painting is I have a canvas and I have oil paints and I have brushes. And now let's figure this whole thing out. And in the matter of a couple hours, you have the image in front of you on the canvas, and that moment stays forever. And art really touches the heart. So
It
that's
does.
the difference than just a picture or something that might come from another country. But when you have an artist and there's sort of an essence of a spirit within the brushstrokes, within the lines, within the colors, so it's very much a different piece.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And so again, you're kind of, what I hear when you say that is that you're taking something that is, you talked about your website being static, but like if you think about it, when you're sharing um, some of your art on Instagram, it's pretty to look at. You can double tap and like that, but it's not an experience. So what you've really done is you've taken what your art and you've brought people along that journey with you so they can feel it, so they can see it. You often share, I love it when you share the water and you can see, you know, all the waves, that kind of thing. You had dolphins at one point, which was so precious. And you also have started doing one other thing that I want to touch on. You do a lot for the community and you've switched your mindset to building a community. So, for example, people don't know this. Barbara does work at a food bank locally, and she starts sharing that. So, I just love that you do that. It's so important to give back in the ways that we can. So, you've started sharing more of yourself and sharing more of the behind the scenes. How have you found that experience to be? And do you think it has helped you? And it's just a short amount of time, but do you think it's helped you look at the bigger picture and see that this is more than just selling something I create? This is about a community.
Well, first of all, I never really wanted to sell paintings. So it was friends that kept pushing me to do this. So, yeah. And then you said, go out in the community. And I thought, I can't go out in the community. How? Again, the switch of the mindset. I went out into the community and I started to see. And then what was more amazing than that is people started coming to me. So I could see things that were happening, things, how paintings kind of fit a situation. And that was one about the Pascal story about
Yes.
the young boy here in the Keys that he only had 14 years of life, and it was pretty sad here. I think we had COVID, but then when Pascal's passing happened here in the Keys, it really affected anywhere you went. People talked about it, and so I was on a beach one day, and I realized that there was a group that would come through, and it was the Boy Scouts that Pascal worked with, and they clean up the beaches on a weekly basis. And so Harry Harris Park happened to be one of those parks, and Pascal's group was there, and I'm painting, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't hear about the story until after I finished the painting. And then when I heard the story, I thought to myself, you know what? That's Pascal Sunshine for sure, because it was done on his beach. And he was such a bright
Yeah.
boy, and he did so much for the community. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that change of mindset.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's really beautiful, just that story in itself, and people can go to your blog and they can read all about that. But what I think was, you said that it wasn't about, painting or selling art. And I think that's the biggest thing that that has changed over the last little while. But what I think is really beautiful is take a story like that, something so tragic and sad happened to this young man, and you have taken that and you've turned it into a beautiful memory. And now that means so much more. And so you've kind of like put a memory stamp in the book and said, Pascal, you were here. This mattered, you mattered, and now you will forever live on in that memory, which I think is really, really, really beautiful. We have a few more comments. Ed says, incredibly designed website. So that's good. And Barbara is awesome. I'm loving this. I also agree. I think Barbara is awesome. I think everyone should go and follow her. And Erin over at Ivy and Light says, that's such a great realization. You're making it even more special for the person who buys it to see the process along the way, which was the whole goal, right? That was what it was all about. And Robert says, off Tampa Bay, which I think is referring to
Oh, West
Apollo.
Side. Okay. I'm thinking East Side. He's West Side, Tampa side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm no side. I'm way over 3,000 miles away from both of you. So just touching again back on the Pascal story, what do you see your art? How do you see it going forward? Like, what stories do you want to tell? And when you think about, okay, well, an art piece is like a memory. When you think about the memory you want to leave, what you want to share with people, how would you describe that? What's the message you want to leave?
It's an organic experience, and that's something I don't ever project. Um, it living in the Florida Keys is so very special with nature. And it's incredible to see some of the things that happen here. And if I could just share little glimpses of the dolphins or the sunrises or the sunsets or the color of the water or anything that's so very, the parks. Actually, coming up, there's a couple things coming up that I wanted to mention. The newsletter's coming out on Monday, and I'm unveiling a series. It's a small sample painting of waves, and there'll only be 10 canvases painted. Every week I'm going to unveil each painting. They're only 5 by 7, so they're very small. And what I'm going to do is take these small studies, and then from there I'm going to start painting larger paintings. So these are just small studies of subjects that I want to move into. So the first study is going to be the waves. The second study, I'm not quite sure whether it's going to be water or it's going to be seashells. So either way, it's everything that sort of relates to the water environment down in here in the Keys. So if you would like to go onto the website and sign up for the newsletter, you'll be able to get the 24-hour ahead of time view of those those paintings, and then they'll go on social media, and then from there they're out. So anyway, so check there. And then also we have a couple other things happening. We're going to the local parks here in the Keys. We have 100 miles from north to south, and there's John Penny Camp, which is really famous, and just so many different parks. So we'll be going there as well, and those will be the plein air paintings that will be just following. We'll be following on social media, and then I don't know. We don't know what'll happen after that, so who knows? But lots of things are happening down here.
Yeah.
We're starting to get into our season. The colors are beautiful here. The sun is just absolutely spectacular. The humidity is broken. We're almost out of the hurricane season, so we'll get back into exploring the Keys.
Yeah, so much exciting stuff. And here's the thing, you don't know what comes after that, but that's exactly why everyone should go follow Barbara and join her newsletter. Again, let me see one more comment. Respect to yourself, to you for putting yourself out there, Barbara, for knowing your worth and not being afraid to let people know it. Good luck to you. I think that's very true. I think you are wonderful, Barbara. You know that I love you to pieces. I think everybody should go and follow because what you share is so meaningful. I know it's helped me personally through many struggles I've gone through, even in the short time we've worked together. And yeah, you're a blessing. You're just a blessing. And the world is so much brighter for knowing you. So everybody go connect, barbarahann.com. Barbara Hann Art on Instagram. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye and you go back to that glorious sunshine and I go back to the rain?
Well, we need rain. We need green. So
It's a good balance right there.
And I can't commend you enough for all that you've done. You've made the journey
You.
so very easy. And the other thing is, we're not done the projects. Every time I have different projects, you'll come back at me and you'll set the strategy, and then we can go forward. So I can't say enough. Thank you so much for all your assistance and help and encouragement. And the great thing is your wealth of knowledge. You have all different areas that you can pull together, and those are things that it would take me a lifetime to explore, because there every day there seems to be more applications. There's the way things are being done are so different, so you're the one that's able to bring that to me, and so I can be a painter and I don't have to be an expert at web design.
Well, that's the thing. I always think of it like this. You are the best in the world at what you do. I'm working to be the best at the world at what I do. So together, we make a pretty good team.
But there's one thing I wanted to bring out before we finish this session, and that is, when I first met Chloe, she had a saying from Maya Angelou, and I have put that in my heart for forever. So can you just recite that?
Yes, I don't know if I'll recite it word for word, but you'll get the main message. Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you did, they will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And honestly, that's what it's all about. If anybody takes anything from this, if you're a business, you want to make people feel something positive, take them from wherever they are, because we're all going through stuff, especially this year. It's tough, it's hard. And if you can give them an experience that makes their life better, and that comes through emotion, it's not necessarily by doing anything so big. You could change somebody's life by changing their emotional state. So it's important. And you make people feel so good, and you give back in so many ways, Barbara. So thank you again so much. Thank you to Marcus for the lovely comment. Thank you to everybody who commented. I know, it's such a good quote. I love that one.
Yeah.
So good. Hi to Jeremy, I believe, who is coming in late. You can watch the replay. If you have missed anything, you can go back and watch the replay. Visit barbarahann.com. Follow Barbara on Instagram for all her beautiful paintings. I am so excited to see what's next, and I get to be part of the journey. So even more win for me. I want to invite everybody else to come along too. Thank you again, Barbara. And yeah, everyone go follow.
Thank you, Chloe.